Cursed by the old gods in Bethany, we are four mortals hiding among the stars, trying to break our curse of completing the 1,001 pieces of pop culture before we're captured by impossibly powerful beings. This is a review show. This is episode 104.
Woo! Woo! Well,
and yeah, welcome to the new year.
It's so exciting.
Oh, yeah, right.
The world hasn't ended yet.
I know, because we've lived for so long, centuries, it's very easy to kind of forget, a year passes. In fact, I might have done this exact ramble last year, but it's different for us. Like, Pedro, point blank, what year do you think this is right now? Like, what's the new year?
25, 30?
Yeah, we're close to that, I think, now. And it's the way time passes. It's fascinating. I'm Austin.
Oh, I'm Sarah.
I'm Lee.
And I'm Pedro.
We are obviously on a planet that we're not going to name because we are hiding from Bethany because she is very mean and is trying to hurt us all the time. But we're kind of all operating from different parts of this planet now because, as you all know, I've lost my legs to a cockroach monster. Pedro has refused to build me legs.
Build him spider legs.
He built me wooden legs, which are just 2 peg legs, last week. I asked for an upgrade, and he just dragged me over to where Lee kind of hangs out. So I'm hanging out near Lee, because you said this is like a different change of scenery.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I shouldn't complain so much.
Yeah, yep.
But Lee, got a nice setup here on this redacted planet.
I mean, I know how to live.
And we're all just doing great, I feel. You know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just happy times on an alien planet, doing what we do. And doing what we do is watch a lot of random-ass pop culture. This week, we are reviewing the 975th entry in all those 1,001 books.
Pretty late.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why we're covering things people might actually have heard of recently.
It's very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. The movie is Inception.
The album is The Sound of Silver by LCD Soundsystem.
The food is Lekvar.
The song is Flux by Bloc Party.
And the TV show is The 100. I'm sorry. The 100. It is specified that it's just called The 100, not The 100.
But not the 100.
Even though it's spelled, it's the number is
100.
what's in the title, right?
Well, because sometimes you're told exactly what it is, and then they disregard that immediately for dramatic effect. The movie this week is Inception.
Wait, I have a old business.
Okay.
I listened to the album, the one from last week. Who was it? Iron Maiden.
Oh yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a lot of fun. Not as death metal-y sounding as I was expecting, which I actually enjoyed. It was just like, standard good metal. And the guy's voice was awesome. It was, just like Lee said, exactly what you need when you want to get work done. And it was great. 4.5 henges.
Nice. And you can listen to the full review of that album last week on episode 103. But now it's time for Inception.
Ron!
There's one thing you should know about me. I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security.
You talking about dreams?
Mr. Carl has a job offer he would like to discuss with you.
Like a work placement?
Not exactly.
Inception is the 2010 film written and directed by Christopher Nolan. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Ellen Page, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Tom Hardy, Ken Watanabe, Marion Cotillard, anyone else? Cillian Murphy.
Basically, everyone in the movie is famous.
Yeah, and have probably been in a Nolan film, or will be in another one.
Yeah.
This came out in 2010, so this is 2 years after The Dark Knight, which oddly enough we've also covered on this podcast.
That's true. That's actually statistically weird that we've hit both those movies.
And it's really curious because, Nolan mentioned this in an interview. He made Dark Knight, biggest film ever, especially the superhero genre at that time. And the studio let him just make another thing, not only that, a super weird original thing, and said, oh, then you'll do your Batman movie. As opposed to, we are going to book the date for Suicide Squad 2 before Suicide Squad 1 opens. That's...
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
And there's something very fascinating that after making that Dark Knight, Nolan now has the cachet to make this movie, which is
Awesome.
boldly original. It is the story of a man who he is definitely haunted by his past, and he is trying to do one last job to save his kids. But his job is not a typical bank robbery. It's in fact more of a dream robbery, where there is now a system where you can enter the dreams and subconscious of people and try to steal or influence ideas. And this creates a puzzle labyrinth-like system of which, this essential heist team is going to just keep going deeper and deeper into people's dreams in order to get what they want. But if that sounds confusing, it's because essentially it's the craziest narrative where I've now probably seen this like 4 or 5 times. I think I now have a new theory about what actually is going on.
Oh, I'm fascinated. Because I've seen it 5 times probably, and I think I got it. Although I am really interested because I know that this is the first time Lee has seen the movie. So I think we just should do spoilers, because Inception, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, because it has a lot of twists and turns, but almost anything you say about the movie is a spoiler. You really want to let it evolve on its own.
Yeah.
So we're going to spoil the entire segment, but let's just devote the first half to talk about the film and then the last half about our theories.
Well, except that I want Lee's unvarnished take about what she thinks is happening at the end of the film before we talk about it.
Lee, the floor is yours.
So this was my first time watching Inception. I'm not a fan of Christopher Nolan. So this is one of the reasons why I waited so long to watch Inception, and it's great. It's good. It's a
Sarah hasn't been on Twitter.
Oh. I did a live tweet of me watching this for the first time on the Immortals Pod, at the Immortals Pod on Twitter a couple weeks ago, if you want to check that out and see my uncensored live thoughts on it. But after having some time to mull it over, it's a well-crafted movie. The plot is interesting and well done. I just think that Christopher Nolan really, really likes white men.
He does. He is big on white men. It's kind of his jam, yeah.
White men. Also, the whole movie just seems like, yeah, I'm smart. I know I'm smart. I'm going to be so smart that you don't even know how smart I am. I'm going to make it seem so like you're a big, huge dummy while you watch this movie. That's how smart I am.
I love the myth I've created about Christopher Nolan in my head, because he is a director who always wears a suit on set. I recently heard on NPR that he always has a flask on him for chai tea.
Adorable.
He just really likes tea and just wants to always have tea on him, so it's in a flask, and he has it kind of always with him. And even during the interview,
do we know that it's chai tea?
Yeah, because the interviewer said, "Can I have a sip?" And they go, "Yes, of course." And they're like, "Yep, that's tea."
That's
hilarious.
Weird.
So when I watched the film this time, I thought 2 things about what I've now pictured as Christopher Nolan. Of A, this is exactly how he dreams. People are in suits in coffee shops in Paris,
all the time.
He doesn't dream about unicorns in space. He just dreams about nice people wearing nice clothes and having polite conversations.
Yes.
And also, I guarantee when he was writing this film and making this film, he was worried this was too emotional.
Yeah.
I think he is the driest person. And this time through, the film worked for me more and less. And the less part was definitely how... I mean, I don't actually care about these people. And their interactions are so dry that I think Tom Hardy is just making up jokes now just to kind of liven it up.
No, I totally agree. This movie just seems like... I feel this way about Christopher Nolan all the time, is he has a really good concept. The idea of doing basically business espionage within dreams is crazy, and nobody could have come up with that. But because this is such a complex and interesting idea, half of the movie is just Leonardo DiCaprio telling the audience what's happening because he can't show us, because he doesn't have the time to show us. The same thing happened with Interstellar. That would have been a great TV series. And I feel like this would have been a great short series.
And Interstellar to me is a film I don't like because it kind of did what...
You're dumb.
Okay, whoa.
Hold up.
It kind of did what, to me, Inception is bizarre because it really is. Most of the movie is explaining the rules. characters begin with every scene going, why are you doing X? I'm doing X because of this. Question your abilities a little bit about it. Oh, this is a further clarification about this. Like, the whole movie is Christopher Nolan sitting down saying, I have a thought about going into dreams. And you go, well, how does that work? Well, it's like this. What if this happens? Well, it's like this. And so weirdly enough, it's engaging. Every time I thought about trying to like spice up the dialogue, like make it more emotional, it doesn't work because he does it in such a concise way that you actually do, by the end of Joseph Gordon-Levitt saying a few sentences about this and this, you get it. And so when at the end it's all going down and it stops having dialogue because it's all happening at once, you know all the rules of a mythology you didn't know about 2 hours ago.
Right. I mean, like, it is crazy that this movie is 100% original. There's no source material. There's no book that you're supposed to go back and read if you want more info. And I can't think, there are only a small handful of sci-fi movies that are able to do this, are able to really create a full world that doesn't fall apart upon repeat viewing or thinking about it too much, right? I actually think Ghostbusters does a decent job of explaining to you the rules of the world, but it will fall apart on close examination.
That was a comic.
That movie, but this movie is, I mean, I agree with you that the characters are definitely not the point. Most of they're sort of vehicles for plot, and in that way, it's irritating. And also, like, the emotion that is there, I think because of that rings a little hollow to me. But it's crazy that they're like, I know exactly how this world works. I feel like I could write a story in this world and I would have all of the tools that I needed to do so after a 2.5 hour movie, which is kind of nuts. And I also, the emotional hits that actually do work for me are the guy in the center of all of it and his dad, which isn't, I wouldn't call it emotional, but it's this interesting, like, clockwork, like, examination of our relationships with our parents. For those who haven't seen Inception in a little while, but hopefully have seen it, which is why they're listening to this, Inception, the name of the movie, the concept is planting an idea in someone's head that they will think is their own, that then will grow into them doing something that you want them to do. They want this guy to sell his company. And I think it's really ingenious. It makes the movie a better movie that they don't go for the easy thing of planting in his mind a hatred of his father. They have this sort of cool pop psychology conversation about, no, that's not really how people are motivated. That rings true to me. Like, it works for me. And similarly, I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Marion Cotillard's relationship, while surface, it doesn't take the really easy out, right? Like, I mean, she's not, like, it is, the reasons that she is crazy are very interesting. And the place and the revelation of the place that they built together is really cool. And really sort of, I don't know, I think it's really striking. And I really like this movie. I think this movie is, I mean, it's a sci-fi classic. It is up there with, any of the other great world building sci-fi movies. And it's awesome. I love it.
So Pedro, we heard your thoughts on Interstellar. What do you think of Inception?
No, I like this movie a lot. It's I mean, you guys all described it very well for me already. But no, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's a completely new idea, something that when you see it the first time, you can't guess what's going to happen. It's all completely new. I mean, I like action films, so it's fun to watch in that respect. But I don't know. I feel like it makes less sense the more I watch it, because I try asking questions that, you don't really care to ask when you're fully engaged the first time you're watching it, but then you're like, wait a minute, but why do they get knocked out in the first place without a sedative or stuff like that? So I actually find that it's better to not think too much into it, even though it is, I think, airtight. If you dig deep enough into every single line and all the rules, it should be airtight. But it's kind of annoying to think about in that way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, I found 2 plot holes this time.
Which are?
One is just a annoying thing. They're both near the end when they're in the James Bond-ish sequence of at the ski lodge. Cobb is asking if there's any shortcuts in the labyrinth, and she goes like, "Well, you told me not to tell you." I was like, "All you said to me the whole movie." He goes, "Tell me. There's an air shaft thing." He goes, "Perfect. You should go tell them."
Why does he need to know?
Why do you need to know?
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
He should say like, "I'm going to go try to get this. If there happens to be one,
tell this person.
Radio those guys."
This is true.
The other one is, I'm pretty sure this makes sense. They have the music play from the guy in the van, and then that reaches to the lower levels.
Yeah.
And Ellen Page has designed the lower levels.
Yes.
Right? So they're essentially in her shared dream, right?
Well,
she's not the person.
If you assume that the movie is telling you the truth about when people are awake and when they're asleep, yes.
So my question is, why doesn't Cillian Murphy hear the music?
Who's Cillian Murphy?
He's the Mark. He's the
executive. At the bottom level, you're in. Let's see. At the bottom, this is the part of it.
The very bottom level is his own. It's his brain. Yeah.
No, it's
Leonardo DiCaprio's. There's a 4th level.
Well, okay, not Limbo.
Before Limbo.
We have to go to the James Bond ski lodge. He should be able to hear the music.
But they
from the hotel level to that level.
Tom Hardy actually mentioned at one point, he's like, "I hear it. I thought it was just the wind." So if Cillian Murphy doesn't know what he's listening for, that's probably why.
Okay, okay, that works for me.
But like at the end of the ski lodge, Leo and Ellen Page go under again in a not all the way down to Limbo stage, right? Because
they go.
I don't know. I got confused at that point.
They go under. So I mean, again, on the theory that the movie is telling you the truth about when people are awake and when they're asleep, they go to sleep on the plane, which gets you to their the van. The van, right. They then go to sleep in the van and get to the hotel level, and they go to sleep in the hotel level and get to the bottom level.
And then there's one more. There's
and
hotel,
then they
ski lodge.
And then they fall into limbo.
So, no, but they go to sleep because they pull out the suitcase. They pull out the metal suitcase at the end, and then they both go under to find the Mark to bring him back, while Leo then goes to Limbo. That's how I understood it, because he does pull out the case. They do hook themselves up, so that to me is a 4th level, not you die and go to Limbo, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But he died, so shouldn't he have had gone to Limbo in the first place?
Who?
Just like Sato? The Mark. When he was shot by, what's her face?
He did.
Ball. Yeah.
But then why is Leo and Ellen able to go down there by hooking themselves up and just going to sleep again?
Maybe they did go to Limbo.
I don't know. This movie's dumb.
It's not dumb. It's just like, here's the thing. When I watched this movie in quick succession twice early on, and I feel bad because I can't answer the questions that you're asking, but I am 100% sure that they do have answers. This movie is fairly at the macro level. Like, I think you're right, Pedro, that when you start to poke around the edges of the film, it doesn't work necessarily. But at the macro level of whose dream are they in and where is everybody, it does work. I just don't have it with me right now with someone, walking it through. What I do think is impressive, and this is where, Christopher Nolan made Memento, right? I'm not crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
This is very, I think of Christopher Nolan as having 2 major sort of ways of being a filmmaker. There's the Batman stuff, which is great. And then there's this Memento, Inception, intricate clockwork plots thing that he does. That's cool. I think Memento is an even better movie than Inception. What is completely amazing to me about Inception, and I remember just confusing the hell out of my dad when I saw this in quick succession, because I was seeing it for the second time and he was seeing it for the first time. The movie, without plot holes, supports two independent, different versions of what happened, which is a feat of storytelling that's really impressive. So the theory, if you don't know it, is that if you watch the movie and assume that when they go under in Mombasa, they are already in Saito's dream, it all works. So basically Saito is controlling, therefore, a huge amount of the manipulation of the characters themselves. Everything works, which is cool. It's a cool thing. It doesn't matter hugely for the story or the motivations of the characters, but just the fact that it can be done is a feat of storytelling. And I think you gotta respect the movie for its intricacy, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to dive into theories in just a little bit. I want to talk about two technical things a little bit more. One, this is, as we said, the guy who made the Dark Knight trilogy, and holy shit, the action scenes hold up.
The action scenes are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Everything in that hotel room, which was kind of fighting just a projection goon. Like, we don't even have, like, it's not even like the big bad. It is just the idea of, like, and you totally, it pays off so well with the van chase, and then plus everything is moved to the hotel room, and he's falling up and down. It's all like single shots too, so you just don't know how it's doing it. But I've heard that it actually was a rotating set.
Yeah, I've seen like behind the scenes things, and it's a rotating set. That's how they got it. And
that
it's
is
amazing.
Insane. Everything paid off so well with that. Everything with, like, having the van fall for essentially like 20 minutes of the movie is shockingly good.
There's one technical thing that kind of caught me. It's when Leo DiCaprio is introducing Ellen Page to this dream world and can be the architect and blah blah blah, and she flips the street basically on top of them, and when they walk from the flat street to the sideways street, that little transition, like, it's like, that's just fake enough that it, like, annoyed me. But the rest of the movie, all of the technical aspects hold up 100%.
So cool. Did you guys feel the same way?
Yeah.
That scene in particular, though, the walking scene, I can't tell if it's like a computer generation type thing that makes it thrown off, or if it's just my mind can't accept walking up a corner vertically. That makes me, like, just disbelieve it completely. But yeah, that part also bothers me.
No, they broke Paris.
Perfect.
Yeah. Once you make the Dark Knight, they let you break Paris.
It's true.
But one more thing I want to talk about before we go into theories about what is happening in the film is something that is literally not happening in the film. And to me, this viewing, because it's been now several years since I've watched it, it rang true so much about, like, I mean, obviously, this is a weirdly personal film for Christopher Nolan because, I don't know, Leonardo DiCaprio dresses like him the entire movie. Like, it just seems like this is, I joke about him thinking it's probably too emotional. I bet he still thinks it is. But what I really noticed about this movie is that so much of the film is actually about filmmaking itself. And something I kind of kept focusing on was, like, one of the cool scenes when he first has a meeting with Ellen Page and he's explaining kind of rules of the dream world and kind of how our mind fills in the blanks, especially the idea of, you know, when did we enter this room? What he's describing is concise editing in a film. Mm-hmm. You don't see people go into the car, go into the garage, find a parking spot, get in. If you see a building and then see them walk in, you fill in the rest yourself about how they got there. That is, the movie itself is a dreamlike situation. Whereas I don't think it works as much on a surface level. As a metaphor, I love the idea of if you break the ideas too much in the dream, the subconscious turns on you. To me, it's a convenient way to say we can't have unicorns in space right now, solve our problems. You have to keep it grounded. But also what he's saying is once you create and establish rules for a movie, you can't have, like, unicorns in it. Like, the subconscious is the audience, that they will recognize that something is off in a movie because you've established a world. Like, if the Dark Knight started having time travel, people go, I don't think that is the dream world we're watching. And I don't know, I kind of really enjoyed, like, this is what Nolan makes. He is the architect of these things. So
I really liked the editing aspect. Like, when they were like, well, how did you get to this room? And it's like, that's a really cool editing trick. And I like that they kept with that for the whole movie. And I like that they kind of, I don't know if it was like a meta reference or if it was just Christopher Nolan being his pretentious ass self, but I enjoyed it a lot.
He is undeniably pretentious ass guy.
This whole movie is
I love him.
White male pretentiousness. That's all it is.
But like, I mean, like, to me, I get what you're saying, Lee, but also like, it doesn't do anything offensive with it, to be honest.
No, it doesn't.
Like, so I can't really get mad at it for like, I mean, like, yeah, do I wish there was more diversity in casting in every single movie? Of course I do. But like, I can't really get mad at it for a movie that what it's discussing is so far from issues of diversity and privilege that it really doesn't create a problem.
Well, the only problem for me is that, and we brought up earlier, like, the film doesn't really have characters. And the biggest flaw is Ellen Page is 1,000% not a character.
But no, like, it's not a movie. Sorry, I sort of got distracted because I wanted to get my brain, I looked something up to get my brain back on track about how some things work. It's not a movie about characters. It's a movie about consciousness and our constructed reality. What I was looking up that I now remember, and sorry, I'm sorry if I zoned out for a second. This has been mentioned, but I don't think it has. I misstated it beforehand. The alternate theory. The alternate theory is that reality that the movie starts in is Cobb's dream, and that Cobb is never awake. And that there is a really cool thing that he's doing, that Nolan's doing, because there are a lot of things that could be called plot holes in the reality part of the story that could also be called not plot holes. They're just what Cobb wants. Like, the famous one that you'll hear people say is, well, why can't Cobb's kids just get on a friggin' plane and come to England? And there's not a really good explanation for that unless you're in Cobb's dream. And then there is, which is that he has a mental block against closure and getting back to his kids, and it's all constructed in his own reality, which I think is a really cool concept and about the way we think, and I love it.
And my theory this time through was sort of connected to that. I don't think it's in Cobb's dream, but I do think that, pardon me, that Cobb has been incepted himself, and that
I've seen that concept as well,
and that like really rang true for me this time. I am not entirely sure how much incepted, but there's a choice that Nolan is making about how he's depicting the non-linear things. Like when you see, him and Maul and their reality they made and such, that is taken as true. The film is showing you the true thing. The only thing that is not true in an Eternal Sunshine kind of way is that you don't see the kids' faces. That is the only thing that's breaking his kind of rule of like how we're looking at flashbacks, or how we're looking at memory at all. Nothing else is like that, which makes me think that like I love the idea that Cobb just keeps doing one last job because of this bullshit that they even point out, saying like this doesn't make any sense about your kids. So this isn't fully thought out, but I love the idea that Joseph Gordon-Levitt incepted Cobb to make him keep doing these jobs because he doesn't want his boss to quit doing heists because he's making so much money.
Well, or Saito, right? I mean, that's the other concept is that, Saito has incepted Cobb with some, there's always a bigger fish, right? And for the purpose of getting Cobb to do this. The other really cool theory that I saw recently when I was looking at Inception for for my other podcast, for Ad Absurdum, was a point that's made about Cobb's totem and the way it works in relationship to other people's totems. So everybody else's totem, right? Totem's that thing that you want to carry around that's unique in the real world. So if you see a copy of it in a dream, you'll know it's not what you had. So that means that in the dream, the thing functions in some like, it doesn't feel the way it's supposed to. It doesn't like have the exact weight it's supposed to. But Cobb's is weird because Cobb's in dreams, his top does something that it is impossible for a top to do, which is to continue spinning, meaning it has no physics that is related to the real world at all. Someone didn't construct the physics to make the top keep spinning forever. One of the theories that I've seen that I think is a really poetic one is Cobb's totem works because in a dream, he is such a good dream manipulator that he can always keep that top spinning, and he actively tries to keep the top spinning. When he's in the real world, to test it, he tries to do the same thing, but the top falls even though he's trying to make it spin. So basically, like that the fact that he's constantly manipulating it is part of why at the end it's important that he walks away from the totem to go see his kids, because it means that we still don't know whether it's reality or a dream at the end. But the implication, if that theory is true, is that Cobb has decided he doesn't care, which is cool. I think there's themes of that throughout, that Cobb has decided he wants to stay where he's happy, which I think is cool.
I think that to me is like always, that is the ending of the movie. I think you can argue what's happening to Cobb in many different ways. Like, is he incepted? Is this all a dream? Is it Sato's influence? The ultimate character decision is that he has walked away and he's with what could be a lie, but it makes him feel more whole. There's one more thing I wanted to kind of bring up of possibly him being incepted, but I'm not sure if, like, because I love the idea that Maul is actually like never real the whole movie. That's just kind of really amusing that like she is a projection of like the like in many ways how Nolan or like men can see women, that she is always like either like a seductress or this or like the sad
women in Christopher Nolan movies have two roles. They are the sexy evil person, or they are the person there to ask questions.
Yep,
that's all they do, and it's fucking dumb.
Well, he fixed that with possibly his best film, Dunkirk, by
not having
women in it.
Yeah.
Can't get it wrong if you don't have them in it. Anyway, that's horrible. But the scene where like Maul is trying to kill herself really like had to me like it set up the rules he set up. Like, here's the clues why it could be fake, because like I still don't get where she is. Like, they're in a hotel room and she's like across the street, and I was watching it and someone said like, oh, it's because the hotel kind of curves that way. That seems like a paradox structure that with the stairs. And also with the same editing tricks, they keep repeating her dropping her shoe to show the height, but we never see the shoe land.
Well, and that goes with all the stuff at the beginning and the question of whose dream it is, that like the movie is very careful that you never see anyone get anywhere. You just see them there.
Yeah.
Cobb is constantly just sort of appearing in places in the first, and you never like, you don't think about it until you look at it, but you never see him like walking into buildings. He's always just in rooms. It's just weird stuff like that I agree with you. Like, that scene has those same clues.
I think it's now time for some final thoughts. Pedro, do you have any kind of theories about reality?
I don't know. Like, so suppose he's dreaming with his kids at the end, blah, blah, blah. Is he just going to age indefinitely and then eventually die of natural causes, or do you just kind of hang out like, what's going to happen with him?
Well, we know a little bit about the idea that you can stay in a dream state for a very long time, age in a dream state, and then conceive and then wake up, because we see Saito do that. I mean, he apparently lives in that dream where the movie starts for what, 50 years?
Forever.
Something like that? Forever.
But he has a gun to get himself out of it.
Right, but in theory, he could also...
But doesn't Saito not know that he's
in limbo?
Know. Yeah.
And that is also the weirdest cut of the movie, because Leonardo DiCaprio in all his persuasive ways says, wake up. Cut to happy ending airport. I'm like, I'm sorry, where are you right now? Because you said a dramatic cut that like is all you ever wanted.
And that's where, and to me, like, I guess like it's interesting, because like you're all right that this movie doesn't have characters, but I dispute that it does not have an emotional core, because I think that's profound. The question of the realities we construct for ourselves, and whether it's worth it to try and break some of those down to reach the truth and the what is real, or whether we have to accept that that's a part of our lives and who we are. That's important and interesting. Yeah, I love this movie.
All right, Henges. I'm going to give it a 4.4.
4.8.
4.3.
3.
That is Inception. It's available probably lots of places. I don't know.
Check out your local library.
But before we go into the next thing, Sarah, can you give us a small tease, since Inception is the current film on Ad Absurdum? Can you just list a couple of things you guys talk about that are legal implications from this movie?
There are so many, guys. If this is real, everything is broken. No, we talk a lot about trade secrets, who's committing what crimes, what exactly one would do, how it would affect the security state, and a bunch of other crap. We were pretty rambly because it's Inception. And like when you talk about Inception for long enough, you're doomed to sound maybe like you have a disorder on the schizophrenia spectrum. So it's very rambly, but I hope it makes sense. And yeah, if this ever, if we ever are able to do shared dreaming, none of us will ever know what is real, and that has very strange governmental implications.
You also had a great part about copyright.
Oh yeah, that's what we spent a lot of time on. I was trying to remember. Yeah, because if you incept somebody, then who owns the idea that came out of it? If that idea is creative, and many other things, like it makes your brain hurt in terms of patents and copyright and trade secrets and all that other stuff that assumes that we are capable of keeping our thoughts to ourselves. Basically, that's a really basic part of human existence that, unsurprisingly, a lot of law is based on.
So everyone should go check out the podcast Ad Absurdum to hear the full episode about that and to hear some of those spiffy answers. Now it is time for the album segment, which I'm not positive about Cobb's Totem, but it's all about the noise it makes when he drops it on the table and spins it. No, it's not about the noise. It's about whether it falls.
Austin's trying to do a segue,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not.
I know he's trying to do a segue, and I'm calling it out.
What is that noise? What would that noise be?
The album is LCD Soundsystem's "The Sound of Silver."
You can't let him get away with these things.
It's time to get away from you. I'm dying to get away. I'm dying to get away. Next time we'll talk it over, and we can start again.
The Sound of Silver came out in March of 2007. It is LCD Soundsystem's second album, and I am a little embarrassed to admit this to some of my music friends. This is my first experience with LCD Soundsystem.
Me too.
And I just feel like it's one of those bands that I've heard of like a billion times, but I never just like took the effort to listen to them, and I'm so glad that I did, because this album is amazing. I love it.
So I admit that I messed up my week. I just watched so much of the 100 and then just like put my head in the ground for a while and like cried a little bit. So I forgot to finish the album. But I've heard the first 3 out of 9 songs, and I'm going to finish the rest today after recording. Holy crap, it's good.
It's so good. And I don't know what I was expecting. I honestly couldn't tell you, but it's exactly everything that I'm into right now. It's cool lyrics that are different while still being like, still having some emotional tie to them. The music itself is interesting because it's that kind of repetitive, but in a good way, trancey type electronic music that like, it doesn't start, have an intro, go to the chorus, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have a structure. It's its own thing, and everything builds organically, and it's so great, guys.
I liked this. This is also my first experience with LCD Sounds, and I did like it, and I agree with what you're saying. Did anyone else get a Killers vibe from them?
See, I kept thinking they reminded me a lot of the Talking Heads.
Fair, also fair. Because I felt like a lot of times I was waiting. I really liked the lyrics. I really liked the way the songs were constructed. But I think because sometimes they reminded me of the Killers, I was waiting for more of like an emotional singer and like an emotional oomph to them, to the music that I never really got.
That's fair.
Which is my only critique. Otherwise, I thought it was a great album.
You know, it's fine. I only heard a third of the album, so maybe the next 6 are dramatically different than what I'm saying, and so I apologize. But like, this is one of the rare albums I've heard where, because I focus so much on vocals and lyrics when I listen to music, that to me the rest of the music is secondary. And with the way all 3 songs, I mean, especially the first one, the singing felt like another instrument.
Yeah.
And it all like blended together so well. So like, it actually takes a long time for any vocals to appear in the first song. And I didn't even know if they did vocals. That's what I didn't know about this band. So I was just really, really enjoying just this. And so when the vocals came in, you know, very quietly at the beginning, it all worked together. So even like the next songs, even though vocals appeared much earlier, it has like everything is connected feel to it.
This album is like, it's all electronic based, so you get keyboards and synthesizers and cool noises that you don't necessarily hear on like more traditional albums or in more traditional music, but it works and it makes such an organic ebb and flow, and like there's peak emotion and then there's like shallower moments, and it's so great and it's so natural. And I started listening to it last night, and I actually like wanted to listen to it again once I was done with it. And I don't know the last time that actually happened with an album that we had to listen to for the podcast. So I love this album. It's so good.
Yeah, I did really like it. I guess like, you know, like sometimes you have bands that you're like, you can listen to and you can be like, man, this is great. And I'm good. Like, you know, like, like for some reason that I cannot articulate, and it's probably unfair, it doesn't grab me, but like I recognize that it is great. I just don't, like, I don't know, like I just don't emotionally react to it. But
that's completely fair.
That being said, it is like everything you're saying is correct. It's fabulous. It's beautifully constructed. Love the lyrics. Yeah, it doesn't get to me, but like I can totally see this being somebody else's favorite album.
No, this is one of those albums that like I started listening to it and I was like, I am glad that I have experienced this album, and I'm glad I experienced it at this point in my life, because if I had listened to it for the first time, like, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, I would have become absolutely obsessed with this band to an unhealthy level. So I'm glad that I waited, because I'm now like more reasonable with my media consumption and don't become absolutely obsessed with people and things and mildly stalkerish. So, you know, that's good. I enjoyed this album without having that deep obsession take over. So
I'm not one who goes to concerts because I don't like crowds or loud music, which is what I understand is that's it. That's all concerts are. Yeah. I would see them in concert. Like I don't know why. Like this, it has like the exact like right tone. Like, yeah, I would want a larger experience of kind of hearing this whole collection.
They aren't super touring. They did an album, did something for Nike, did like this project for Nike, did this album, and then did a third album, and then kind of broke up for a little while. Then they did a reunion tour, or like their final concert in like 2011, I think, in New York. And then like just this year they've been talking about releasing another album. So as of this year, and crap, I mean like by 2017, I mean, because, you know, it's that month transition period where we still don't really know what year it is.
This is January 4th. We are fully in 2018 now.
Whatever. So they are kind of back together. They've had some band lineup changes, like most bands do. So they are touring, or they're at least doing something. So if you are interested in LCD Soundsystem, check them out in the future. I'm sure they're going to be doing cool things.
Do they do any intergalactic touring?
I don't know for sure, but I'm going to just go ahead and say no. Not many bands do. It's a little cost prohibitive.
Bummer.
That's fair.
Any final thoughts? Pedro, did you hear this one?
No.
I imagine Pedro's going to review this next week based on what we just said.
I honestly
think a week off for every album.
No, I think this is another album in a row that I think Pedro would actually enjoy.
Oh, Pedro would love this.
Ooh, I kind of like having you guys filter the music for me. into what
Yes,
I should and shouldn't
like
listen
our
to.
listeners probably enjoy that.
But we've had some pretty bad weeks here recently with albums. So like last week with Iron Maiden and then this week with LCD Soundsystem, it's been really nice.
So how many hinges would you give it?
Oh, I would give this one a 4.5, definitely. I'm going to revisit this album, and I'm definitely going to check them out more, because they're amazing.
I was also going to say 4.5.
I'll give them a 4, just because of my own reaction to them, but it's really good. You should listen to it.
Now it's time for the food segment. What the fuck is this shit?
It's Lekvar. Lekvar is prune butter. So as soon as I read the back of the thing, I was like, oh, that's what this is used for. It's really it's like Hamantaschen cookies. If you've had Hamantaschen cookies, this is the filling of Hamantaschen cookies. It's a fruit butter, so it's like a very smooth, prune-based spread. It's probably the best way to describe it. I ate it, and then I left it for Lee and Austin there to eat. How you guys feel about it?
Well, we've now opened the jar.
I have smelled it.
It smells worse than it tastes.
I sure hope so, because it smells awful. It smells like Fig Newtons, but like...
It smells like...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's similar.
But like super duper concentrated Fig Newtons that maybe have sat in your car for a little too long.
It smells like jam went bad.
Yeah. It's
not. It's not.
It smells like something's definitely off.
All right. Not. So, okay.
You didn't like leave it in the sun or anything, Austin, right? Like you just took it out of the fridge.
Yeah. Once again.
Okay.
Good job, guys, building a refrigerator on an alien planet, but not missing goddamn legs or a wheelchair. But it's fine. It's fine.
I have been telling him to make you legs.
I'll get to it eventually.
What are your feelings, guys? How you doing?
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's fine, right?
This would be delightful on a cookie.
You know what? Exactly. This is not as bad as I thought.
It smells worse than it tastes.
Well,
it's weird.
Here's the obvious thing. It tastes like those little raisin boxes you had when you were kids.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It tastes exactly like that. It's
100% that.
So one of the things I hate about raisins, really the only thing I seriously hate about raisins is their texture. I think raisins look like animal poop, and it's gross.
They do.
And I when I was growing up, we would go to a pumpkin patch that had a lot of homemade fruit butters. So I'm used to the fruit butter consistency. And so it definitely has a very, very specific mouthfeel. It's kind of like, I don't know, somewhere between jam and peanut butter in terms of its stickiness. But I like it. I like fruit butters on toast and stuff.
The look is good. The initial taste is good. When you still have a drop in your mouth after swallowing, you're like, oh, I am not a fan.
It has an odd texture for me. I'm really big on texture, so this texture is just a little too gross for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's slimy.
It's not. Yeah, it's not something to eat on its own on a spoon like we have just done, but it would be.
This is the perfect review system.
It would be great in Hamantaschen.
Which is what it is used for.
Yep.
I can also I will probably use up this bottle of it by eating it on toast, and I think it will probably be with butter, and I think it will probably be pretty good.
Yeah, I think
but
it'd be good on
there's definitely
toast.
A feeling of the way it sticks in your mouth, oh, my mouth is going to taste like raisins forever.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a drink. Don't know where that is right now. Do we have more to say about prune butter?
Hey, I mean, look, it's for the first time in a long time we've had a food that is actually something people haven't heard of, is gettable, and is, not the worst thing in the entire world. So that's cool.
But we're so lazy, and we so rarely actually bother to, bring the food over to Lee's part of the ship or planet we're on.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This is the one we did.
Congratulations, Lee.
I had to make my own goddamn popcorn.
Aww.
You're so far away, though.
But, yeah.
I mean, we wave, but, we're all pretty comfortable. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
I have no legs.
True.
And I can't move. I just watch Netflix all day. It's a problem. Anywho, Henges.
3.5.
I actually was also going to get 3.5. This is getting eerie.
I'll give it a 3. It's perfectly acceptable as a filling for something else.
So, Prune butter. Lee says is as good as Inception.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
That's fair.
That's absolutely fair.
Pedro, what's a good song to wash this down?
Flux capacitors.
What?
I mean, Flux.
Johnny Be Good. Power of Love.
Oh my god.
We listened to Flux by Bloc Party this week. Flux is a song by Bloc Party. Came out in 2007. Bloc Party is an English group. It says here rock, but I don't know. It sounded more like electronic dance kind of music. Maybe that's just me.
It's somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a song. It has a beat and words.
I like Bloc Party.
I do too.
I was not a big fan of this song.
I was really into them when they were big.
Yeah.
And like I haven't really listened to them since then, and now I'm like, oh right, Bloc Party. I like Bloc Party.
But like I know I've heard other songs of theirs. I don't think I'd heard this one before, but I remember liking them more than this. This seems kind of lackluster.
I agree.
All
like
their
this
songs sound kind of the same.
Well, see, I don't think so. I think the song sounded like just different enough that it didn't sound like Bloc Party to me anymore, and I was a little disappointed because I enjoy Bloc Party. I listen to them quite frequently.
Well, damn. How am I supposed to know what they sound like?
Well, go listen to them. Research.
But they're not on. Fine.
I don't know Bloc Party. I have seen the Michel Gondry film, Dave Chappelle's Bloc Party.
Not the same thing.
They were not in it.
Nope. Not even close.
They were not. But, you know, typically when you have a more EDM kind of song, you go, okay, this would be in a bar where you're just, you know, jumping endlessly and you can't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of a song to have on bars where you'll have TV so you can have this dumb music video playing.
It's an awesome music
where
video.
It's the genre of bar where there's always something to look at. Kind of everyone, there's like knickknacks everywhere in the bar.
Yeah.
That's what this song was made for, especially with its really stupid Power Rangers-esque music video.
That music video is
awesome music video.
The best.
Pedro, describe this music video.
So, there are various robots and giant animals and hybrids of the two, and these two robots fall in love while the rest of them wreak havoc on a city, and they're just kind of going around doing stuff. It looks like one of them is like drinking for power. He like guzzles down like fuel from a fuel tanker and gets like super powerful, and then I think he gets drunk off of it because at the end he's puking, which I thought was real funny.
Well, the monsters line dance
at one point. Yeah,
they're
so
dancing.
Maybe they're all
too.
drunk.
Look, you can't just destroy buildings. Like, they have social lives, guys. Their whole life is
But
their
usually
job.
not in the middle of destroying buildings.
Well, you gotta take a lunch break or a dance break.
Yeah.
The union requires mandated 15-minute breaks.
This is why we need to break apart all unions.
What?
No.
What?
Let's not. No.
Is that
Unions are good.
That's what the song's about, right?
No.
Right?
No.
I did not understand this one.
It's pretty fun. I don't know. I like the music video a lot more than the song, to be honest.
Well, because it was
give you
all Kid Watanabe's dream.
I could see that.
We're actually in Ken and Wanatabe's dream, like, right now. Like, the whole thing. Like,
that makes
where
so
we
much
are
more
right
that
now.
explains
Dream.
most of the plot of this podcast.
Yeah.
Actually, guys, that explains a lot of the plot of this podcast. Like, a lot.
So if you ever
How
confused
did
about
we
why
get to this planet? Does anyone remember?
We're in a
Wrong.
Japanese man's dream.
we crashed and it was heard on audio on episode 100?
Oh.
Well, okay, so that
Henges.
doesn't fit it. What do you know?
Yeah, let's henge this. The song I give like 3.3. The music video I give like a 4.5.
Okay. I give it a 3.6.
I'll give it a 3.9.
3.5 works for me.
All right, that is
Flux
Flux?
by Bloc Party.
by Bloc Party. Realize my notes here were not the right thing. But that's okay, because not everything needs to make sense or be right. Now it's time for the TV show segment. This is The 100.
I was born in space. I've never felt the sun on my face or breathed real air or floated in the water. None of us have. For 3 generations, the Ark has kept what's left of the human race alive. But now, our home is dying, and we are the last hope of mankind. 100 prisoners sent on a desperate mission to the ground. Each of us is here because we broke the law. On the ground, there is no law. All we have to do is survive. We will be tested by the Earth, by the secrets it hides, and most of all, by each other.
The CW is a really interesting channel in that it used to be the WB and UPN, and it merged into this thing which I think has 3 categories of shows. All the superhero shows, they're identical: Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl. There are inexplicably good shows made by auteur showrunners like Jane the Virgin and Craziest Girlfriend. And then there is delightfully dumb, sexy teen dramas regardless of the genre. And that is the rest of the channel. Like Beauty and the Beast. That's going to be a sexy teen angsty romance now.
Gross.
Archie. That's a sexy teen angsty crazy-ass show now.
It's the best show ever!
And The 100 is the stupid, sexy teen angst version of Lost meets Hunger Games. In that it's just Lost. It is the story about how 100 years ago, there was a nuclear war on Earth. Humanity went towards the Ark, this big old space station. 100 years later, things aren't going great because all the characters are stupid. And now any crime, basically at all, even like space jaywalking, you get killed because they're running low on oxygen and supplies and such. And they decided to actually bother to check out, see if the Earth is inhabitable. But instead of sending an adorable Pixar robot, they decided to send 100 teenage criminals.
Perfect.
Throw them all to Earth, and then, some stuff happens. With this stuff, I mean most of the subplots in Lost. This is based off a YA book series, and it's just a degree or two too stupid. Because Riverdale is the perfect blend of boldly stupid, where you're entranced by how imaginative Riverdale is by taking a really silly G-rated 50s comic and decided Archie's going to bang his teacher and Jughead's going to become a biker gang member now. It's all Twin Peaks. That's crazy.
It's so good.
And that makes you want to keep coming back. This is just stupid Lost to the point where every episode should air, and they should send, every time an episode of The 100 airs, a troll sent an apology letter to Damon Lindelof saying, "I'm sorry. Clearly this is harder than it looks. And you had a couple flaws, but you made it look really nice." The 100, it's so stupid and so unaware of any of the themes it has, because they bring up things like, hey, it's just us now on the planet. This is we can make the world in our image kind of thing. And then that goes nowhere. They all have like wristbands, like tell like the people up in the Ark they're alive. Then they like take them off, so like then the people won't come for them. They can like have the planet to themselves. And it takes like 4 episodes for people on the Ark go, well, I guess they're all dead because all the little like walkie-talkies turned off, or they took them off. Like you get people like, I mean, all the kids look the same. The point where I actually thought I thought 2 people were one person for the entire season until the season finale where I go, oh shit, those are just 2 white guys with the same haircut who are different. So I actually have no idea which character did which thing throughout the season. But, you have a girl with a boy's name who does stuff, and she's supposed to be the practical one of like, we should go to the supply thing. Then the bad boys all like, we don't need to take orders from them. But her thing is like, but they're supplies. Like, we don't have any food. We should go there? Then they argue for episode about whether or not they should get supplies. You have, of course, the people on the planet, still, the others, or they're called the Grounders. And you got the guy from American Gods in it. And it's handled pretty racist, because the show seems unaware that they seem to be a pretty obvious Native American metaphor. Because like they just keep proclaiming in speeches that this is their planet. They kill a lot of them really violently, unaware. They should kill a lot of minorities in the show. We're like, oh wow, it's actually a rather diverse cast, and then like only minorities die. And whenever like a white person gets hurt, they like freak out and have to like spend the entire time like making sure that they are not poisoned or not eaten by a giant alligator monster or whatnot. At one point, I thought Henry Ian Cusack, aka Desmond from Lost, was going to die. I'm like, there we go. A major white character is going to sacrifice himself, and then he ends up fine, and then a black character dies. And you're like, okay, this is not great. The only minority in power who's not a grounder savage is the homophobe from Grey's Anatomy. So you're like, I don't think I'm into your redemption arc right now, because also you're not very good in this. Also, no one's very good in this because everyone's stupid all the time. But you know, these kids, they shoot a lot of people because there's so many guns, so much torture, so many plots that don't make any sense. Characters will change their opinions on things mid-monologue with no awareness. They only speak in cliches. And it does that CW thing where like they all have sex all the time. But because it's on basic channels, it's just a lot of backs. Like, women's backs are mostly in this show. And, yeah, it's super stupid. I have to watch 3 more seasons of it.
Oof.
It's really dumb. But I there's one critic who I really admire who actually says this actually is a better teen show than most. I've not seen that yet in season 1. I hear it actually has like one of the most like beloved gay relationships, I think, in later seasons. I've not seen that yet. Mostly it's just terrible. And yeah, it's on Netflix. Sarah, you didn't actually finish a single episode of it, but you saw parts of multiple episodes.
Yeah, because I would start an episode and then go, this is terrible, and go to sleep. It's not good.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good. I mean, look, I will say this. I work with juveniles who have committed crimes. These guys are way less interesting. Way less interesting. I actually think the guys I work with would be pretty badass if you dropped them on like a possibly inhabited.
Well, the problem is also the show is pretty much a coward about that premise entirely because everyone apparently is not actually a criminal. They just they do a contact that put them as part of the 100 because they wanted to be with somebody else. And those who actually were criminals did like the most minor thing in the world. Like no one's actually like a bad guy in these kids or did a bad thing. So that's boring. And it's all stupid. You know, it's just they're all stupid people. And it's bad. So I gotta see where it's going. The 100. Still more entertaining than Sliders. So 2. Because it's often a pretty show. And that's the standard I'm at now for this segment. We did it, guys. Episode 104.
Woo!
In the
Hooray!
books. Bam. Bam.
Boom.
Bam.
Bomb.
Stop saying bam.
Bam. Pedro, use your random number generator.
43.
Fuck, that was fast. All right.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So we went from real late to real early. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Just turn some pages here.
The album is Olympia 64 by Jacques Brel.
Oh, the food is longan, which is one of these weird Southeast Asian fruits that will be difficult to get.
Wait, Kenneth Logren, the guy who wrote...
no, honey, we're not going to eat Kenneth Logren. Longan. N-L-O-N-G-A-N.
Margaret's a great movie.
Stop it.
The song is How High the Moon by Les Paul and Mary Ford.
Answer? So high, guys.
It's up there.
It's so high.
I mean, actually, I can look it up right now.
The movie is... Oh, we're going back to the silent era. But we got Buster Keaton this time with Steamboat Bill Jr. That's going to be a lot of fun. And the TV show is... Okay, here we go. Canzonissima?
Close enough, yeah.
That looks good to me.
Yeah.
It is an Italian singing competition show.
Wonderful.
Delightful.
So that's all going to come out next Thursday. Until then, you can do a whole number of things. You can follow us on Twitter at The Immortals Pod, where Lee posts lots of silly things, including sometimes an entire thread about Inception in real time.
I mean...
Or was it?
Yeah.
Wong.
Yeah.
You can email us at theimmortals@theartofmore.com. You can go over to theartofmore.com and leave a comment on this thread or any thread about what you thought about what we reviewed today. Love to hear your Inception theories. While you're there, check out other podcasts. Tomorrow starts a new 5 for Let's Take 5. We are going to be reviewing the really, really awesome French director Jean-Pierre Melville. And even though these are not the most famous films, they're all super awesome. The first one up is Bob Le Fleur. I can't be saying that right, but I have one day to figure out how to say it, which is all about a high roller gambler trying to make enough money to stop doing it. It's awesome. Ad Absurdum, the latest episode is about Inception, as we mentioned earlier. Check that out. Really great insight about the implications of Nolan's world. And also, Music Today was done by Adam Lord. Check him out at songsbyalord.com. This was edited by Rook Partham. Thank you, Rook. You make this sound listenable, because, boy, we aren't that into that.
No.
And thank you all for listening. Rate us on iTunes, yada, yada, yada. You know, we'll podcast at the end. I'm Austin.
We're never going to get used to this.
No.
I feel we could.
Maybe. One day.
I just think you guys, when you pause, you guys just like don't want to end. Like, do we have to say goodbye?
No, we're like, at least me. I'm mentally going through, like, okay, I'm Austin, I'm Adam, I'm Sarah. My turn now.
Yeah.
So it's Sarah's fault.
Yeah, it's Sarah's fault.
Yeah, I like that.
Sarah, did you leave already? Fuck it, Sarah's out.
All right.
I'm Austin. She's Sarah.
I'm Lee.
I'm Pedro.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Sarah says bye.
Bye-bye.